The title of today's talk is How to Double Your Profits in 3 Simple Moves. And it doesn't matter if you're a small business with a couple of £100,000 turnover, or whether you're doing £1 million turnover, or whether you're doing £10 million turnover. The same 3 moves will double your profits. And they're 3 simple moves. What I do for a living is I work with window companies on a mentoring basis, normally 1 day a month for a couple of years, and I help them grow their profits from where they are now to where they want them to be. And what I'm going to share with you is my experience in helping double glazing companies grow over the last 20 years. And out of all the percentages that there are that make up every business, there's 3 of them that are the most potent, let's say. Some industry facts. Plimsoll do reports on the double glazing industry. They actually pull the accounts of every window company, the limited company accounts, and turn them into reports which they sell to the industry. You may have heard of them. Plimsoll reports show some interesting facts about profitability in our industry. The first thing is 1 in 10 companies go bust every year. The industry average profit is only 4.4%. 4.4% is a very small amount, as you can imagine. Ideally, you want to be making at least 10% net profit after you pay yourself and you pay everything else, because you want the bank balance to be going up by 10% of turnover every month, every year. That's the ideal goal. 1 in 3 window companies make a loss. They don't make any money. And you can make a loss for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years before you have to go bankrupt. All that happens is you have bad cash flow and your credit with your suppliers is getting bigger and bigger. So it's not a forgiving business. But if you know what you're doing and you keep an eye on the percentages, it's very easy to make money in this business. I work with companies that make 17, 18, 19, 20% net profit. And there are plenty of companies that make millions out of this industry, as you know. And it's all about, in my view, knowing what your percentages are and then knowing how to get the percentages to work for you. And that's what I'm going to share with you today. Jim Rohn, the American business philosopher, said, you must either modify your dreams or magnify your skills. And by default of the fact that you've actually came to a seminar, you're an audience that are here to magnify your skills. The percentage game, basically, is what we're going to look at. Like I mentioned before, there are 19 percentages that run your business, and most of these percentages are hidden under the carpet. They're not visible. Your accountant doesn't know what they are. But those that have the turnover normally of over 5 million live and die by the percentages, because it's a bit like having a car, your business. If you're just trundling along at 30 miles an hour, you can go around bends and so on. But once you get up to 100 miles an hour and you start doing millions of turnover, you have to have the right brakes, the right chassis, the right steering. Everything has to be in place. Well, the good thing is, if you're a small business now, you can get all these things in place right now, and then you can grow your business to wherever you want it to be. So, move number 1 out of the 3 profit moves. Track and improve your markup achieved. Now, what your markup achieved is, it's basically your sales divided by the cost of your frames and glass. Give you an example of that. If your turnover is £10,000 and your frame and glass is costing £5,000, then by default you've achieved a markup of 2. Do you get that? So you buy your window for 100 quid, frame and glass, you sell it for 200, that's a markup of 2. Now most companies, their accountants tell them to work their prices out by frame and glass costs, plus your fit, plus this, plus 30% to cover that, and that'll do the job. It's too simple, you can't run a business like that. If you also notice next to it is 50%, so that means your frame and glass is now costing you 50%. Why is that important to know? Well, it's important to know because if your frame and glass is costing 50%, that means you've got the other 50% to run your business, but ideally speaking, you want 10% profit at the end of the week, at the end of the month, at least. You can get it up to 27 when you start boxing clever, but let's call it 10% for now. So if you want 10% profit and your frame and glass is costing 50%, that means you've got 40% to run your business. It's okay if you're a one-man band, you've got one fitting team, you can just get away with it if you don't want much profit. But once you start cooking on gas, it is not enough. Simple as. So, ideally speaking, what you want to do is achieve a markup of 2.7. The spreadsheet that I'm going to give you, if you fill that form in, and we'll email it to you free, you put your figures in, ask your accountant to do it, they'll huff and they'll puff, because it's not accounting figures we're putting in. We're separating all your costs into 10 different categories. And one of the things that will show us is the markup achieved. And what your goal is to drive it up, essentially. So if we get the markup ideally to 2.7, which is the optimum, which then gives you 37% frame and glass cost, it leaves you a lot more to run your business. The next slide actually shows you, now I know you can't see this unless you're in the front 2 rows, but tick the box and I'll send you the presentation so you can go over this. We're actually filming this presentation as well. I'll send you the link if you leave us your details so you can watch it over and over again as I start to rattle through things. But basically, here are the budget for all your 10 costs. You've got marketing, office and admin, salespeople, sales management. Now, you might not have a sales management or even salespeople now, but you might need them in the future. So you've got to build their cost into your prices right now. And if you haven't got them, stick it in your pocket, stick it in the bank and get some money. Once you do get them, you can take that hat off and then give it to the different departments, basically. So pay yourself for all the hats you're wearing and learn to sell at that high altitude. You've then got training, remedials, fitters, vans and fuel, indirect materials, which is glues and screws, and then you've got your direct materials, which is frames and glass. Now, normal accounting packages do not split the 10 costs into those percentages. But unless you do, you can't manage the percentages properly. You can't wait until the end of the quarter or the end of the year and your accountant says, well done, you've made some profit. That's too late. And of course, you go, well, where's the profit? It's not in my bank account. That's because a lot of companies, a third, don't actually make a profit, but their accounts show profit. The reason for that is directors take dividends instead of wages to save national insurance. If you take a dividend, it has to show on the accounts as profit. So many companies are showing a profit but making a loss. Play the percentage game, and that will never happen. This is all about cash, not profit for taxation purposes. Yeah. Okay. What that then translates to, in the spreadsheet that you'll take away with you, not today, but when we send it to you, is this. So now you can view all of your percentages on a spreadsheet like this. And of course, all of these want to equal 90%, ideally speaking. So that's move number 1. Track your markup. And your markup tells you what your frame and glass is costing as a percentage. Now, it's markup achieved, not markup planned for. So what I mean by that is, at the end of the month, all you got to do is look at, and take monthly averages, because months go up and down. You look at a monthly average, and you look at how much your frame and glass was versus what your sales were, and that's your markup achieved, not what you planned for. So you might plan for a markup of 2.5, but actually when you look at the figures, you might think, hang on a second, I'm only achieving a markup of 2. So look at it, what the result is. Okay, move number 2. Track and optimize your conversion rate. What I mean by conversion rate is the number of appointments you do versus the number of sales you get. So if you do 10 appointments and you get 5 sales, that's 50% conversion rate. Your conversion rate is everything when it comes to running your business properly. If your conversion rate increases, then your cost per lead comes down. All of your overheads come down as percentages, if they're a fixed overhead. So your conversion rate is critical. How I suggest you track your conversion rate is like this. So again, in the spreadsheet that I'll send to you, you just enter this simple bit of information every month for Bob. You might be Bob, or you might have a Bob working for you, or you might have half a dozen Bobs working for you. For each one, each month, you just put down the number of one-leg quotes, two-leg quotes, e-quotes, total quoted. This is an automatic calculation. You just fill in the white squares. Number of one-leg sales, two-leg sales, how much sales volume, immediate orders, and sales commission if you are paying commission. If not, just put 0 in there. Just so that you know, a one-leg quote is where you go to see a couple, but there's only one present. A two-leg quote is where there's a couple and they're both there. If it's a person living by themselves, that's a two-leg quote. Do you get the difference? Yeah. So you monitor this information. It's not that we're trying to avoid one-leg quotes at all. It's just we need to know the information. Why? Because it's going to double your profits. That one thing, as I'm going to show you in a minute. Okay, the spreadsheet, once you've entered that data, then turns it into this information, turns it into percentages. So here you've got your number of quotes. You've then got your percentages. In this case, we've got 54% one-leg quotes with a 28% one-leg conversion. We've got 46% two-leg quotes with a 61% two-leg conversion. Your two-leg conversion's normally, not always, normally twice what your one-leg conversion is. We're achieving a markup of 1.89, and we've got 22% immediate orders. Immediate orders just means as soon as you send them the quote, within days they come back to you and say yes, or if you quote them in the house, they're saying yes. Not that we're trying to push people into saying yes, it's just an indicator of how sold the customer is. And then for 36 leads, with those percentages equals that amount of sales, yeah? Okay, so now we're tracking it. How do we improve it? Well, here's the simple way to prove it. There are 5 steps in a sale. You've got measure and fact find. So find out what the customer wants, and then you measure the windows or doors. Step 2, we agree all of their design preferences, the color of the handles, the pattern glass, where they want the openings, the conservatory shape, etc. Step 3, we match the product to their needs. So in the fact finder said it's really cold and drafty and we want security. So then we show them the best solution. If it's a casement window for security and so on, the best sealed unit, the best hinges, locks, etc. The next step is to show price options and finally agree the next step, whether you're going to send them a quote or they're going to get back to you or you're going to get back to them, whatever it is. Each of those 5 steps is an art to be mastered. You can also have a system that by default masters the art, which is the topic of another talk. Tick the boxes, we'll send you the presentation so you don't miss it, if you're only here for today. Now, here's the thing. Each of these steps, you and or your sales force have a score. Your conversion rate is dictated by the lowest score. So you can see in this example, I've put down a score of 4 for measure and fact find, which is typical. Half of all salespeople or half of all estimators do not do a fact find. 0 fact find. When we did the Fit Show Salesman of the Year competition, the 4 finalists who got filmed, if you watch it on Google, because it was all filmed, 2 of them did no fact find. It's very common. They think they're doing a fact find, but they're not. Didn't find out why they wanted it, what their problems were, what they did want, what they didn't want, when they were doing it, how long they were staying in the property, all the good stuff. They were all pretty good at agreeing the design preference, so some might score them 9. Matching product to their needs lets you might have a score of 6. Showing price options, you might have a really nice quote you send out, might be 8. And agreeing the next step, you might score 5. Your conversion rate is dictated by the lowest score. So in this scenario, if there's a 47% conversion rate, it's because the first digit is the 4. That first digit can never be higher than the lowest score. And then the next digit is the average of the rest. All you've got to do is increase your fact-finding measuring technique to score a 5, and you've just took your conversion rate from 47 to 57%. Keep doing that until you score 9s all the way up. Yeah. I'm going to show you how this is going to affect the numbers in a few minutes. The next move is to optimize your one-leg rate. Now, what I mean by that is, I've got a customer who operate in Hampshire. They have 2 women salespeople, and they sell, if they go and see women by themselves, they'll sell more seeing a woman by themselves than they will seeing a couple. So guess what? It doesn't. There's no optimizing of the one leg rate needed. The more, so they're quite happy to go and see women who are quite happy to see them. And they're quite happy to go and see couples because it's only marginal. I think they sell about 52% of their one leg and about 48% of their two leg. I've got another customer, a past customer, that two salespeople. One of the salesperson, Steve, over 5 months with a 50% one leg rate, guess how many single sits he sold, one leggers? 0. The other salesperson was selling 50% of his one leggers and about 60% of his two leggers. So guess what? The way to optimize it is give the one leg appointments to that guy and give Steve the two leg appointments because he sells 50% of them anyway. We did the maths and that was going to generate, it was only a small company doing about, I think it was about 60,000 a month. The maths showing they would do 78,000 a month if they just swap the leads across. That's what I mean about optimize the conversion rate. Another client of mine who has 50% one leg rate, 50% two leg rate, his one leg conversion was 38%, his two leg conversion was 78%, and we just reduced the number of one leg appointments down to 25% from 50% just by a simple asking the customer, if we do like to see you both together if possible. If not, it's not a problem, we'll come and see you. And just saying that, well, if you want to see us both, you'll have to be an evening or a Saturday morning. And just by getting it down to that, we increased the profits from something like 5% to 11%. Turnover went up from whatever it was up to about 20,000. Basically, all of those percentages create this. There's your sales, there's your costs, there's your profit. By reducing the one leg rate from 50%, you just put a minus 29 into the system and it automatically reduces it down to 25%. Just that one thing alone, the turnover has gone from 43,000 up to 52,000. The profit's gone from 2,200, i.e. 5%, to 4,300, 8%. That's just by optimizing the one leg rate. Whether you want more of them or less of them, you've just got to find out which it is, in a nutshell. Now here is the combined effect of all three moves: increasing your conversion rate, optimizing your one leg rate, and optimizing your markup achieved, getting better prices. I'll tell you how to get better prices. From tomorrow, put your prices up 3%. It will not affect your conversion rate. An £800 door is now 800 and, someone tell me, 27 or something. It's not going to affect it. Guess what it's going to do to your profits? That's going to drop straight onto the bottom line. Another tip, keep putting your prices up 3% until your conversion drops. Okay, so what if we put the prices up 3%, increase the conversion rate by 10% and reduce the one leg rate? In this case, to optimize it, the sales have gone up to 64,000 and the profit's gone up to 7,800 from 2,000, and that's 12%. But what if we can get the markup achieved from 1.9 to 2.7, which is where it can be? So we've got the same number of leads, the same costs. The only difference is we're now optimizing the conversion rate. The markup achieved is now up to 2.5, which means your frame and glass are costing 40%. As the 36 quotes ka-ching all the way down through the percentages, this is one formula. 19,000 profit, 25%. Cash surplus. A little tip, if you're a director, when you're using Profit Tracker, put your wages, including your dividends, into office and admin. It's not going to come out of profit. This is cash surplus. Turnover's vanity, profit's sanity, cash is king. This is cash surplus. That money stays in your bank account because as of next year, is it? What's it coming down to, corporation? 17% tax? Just leave it in there and build your business with it. 3 simple moves, not rocket science. It does require effort. You've actually got to monitor them. You've got to get your accountant to actually start tracking it for you, or your bookkeeper get the figures for you. Job's a good one. Enjoy spending the money.